So again, I'm gonna repeat again. The deadline, Yusuf Asakir, I'm gonna write it when I'm writing the homework. So I'm gonna repeat again. Today, you're gonna find in the website, there is a homework is gonna be open for you. Take care. Whenever you are answering homework or answering any assignment or doing anything, it's gonna be a kind of analysis of the skills. And this you're gonna find it in your page. You can find it in your page. Even your order among your colleagues. Even your order among your colleagues. The page is gonna be given to you. It's gonna tell you exactly what you are in, what are the shortage or the weaknesses that you have. So kindly just follow up whatever I'm gonna mention it for you, and you have to work hard even when you are answering this. The homework is not gonna be by time, so it's not like the test. So take your time, find the question, analyze it by yourself using our way. I'm gonna say again what we have in this kind of revision on the website. We have the first domain that include 3 skills. Evidence. Evidence had 3 sub-skills. Scientific, literary, quantitative. Then we have the second skill, main idea and details. It has 2 sub-skills, main idea and details. And the third is inference. Take care of that. And now I'm going to revise the whole test of test 12. Kindly, no one sleep. Even if you're not opening your camera, start paying attention for every word that I'm going to say. Okay, you know that the question or the test start with question 1. But our way to solve, that is completely different. I'm not going to say it right now because some teachers are taking it from me. So, we look at the first question, and you're going to find that it's a domain 2. So, the test start with domain 2. And you know that domain 2 has vocabulary, has main purpose and structure, and has cross-text connection. Are all these skills we're going to come? It will come in the 2 modules, not only in 1 module. So maybe in the first module, you're going to find only 2 skills out of 3. In the second, you're going to find the other. So let's find the first one and how we can solve them. The first question here is asking about vocabulary. So we have to look at the connotation to find that the word is positive, carry positive connotation, or negative connotation, or neutral. So immense means great. So positive, and non-negative, ordinary, neutral, limited, negative. So here we cannot use the odd one out. So what we're gonna do, we have to go to the other part. We have to use we have to use the context clue. So let's find. It said the American continents are home to a huge diversity of languages. Take care. A huge diversity of language means something positive. From Mayu, found in places like Mexico and North America, to Kugachi, found in places like Colombia and South America. Much like the continents themselves, the variety of native language in America is. Here it's talking positively. So now I'm not going to use unknown or limited. How limited and it's diverse. Different, according to the word that we memorized together. So we are between immense or ordinary. Okay, if it's ordinary, no, it's not ordinary. How can a continent be ordinary if it has a diverse language? So it's going to be immense, something great. Second question again is vocabulary. I'm going to go again to whatever we are mentioning, like the connotation in practical, negative. This word, we have it. We just studied it right now when I'm asking one of you. Presumptuous means arrogant. Ambiguous, uncertain, negative. So here, negative, negative, negative. Customary, popular, neutral. Wait. Are we going to use customary because it's in neutral? No, because it can carry the negative and positive. So in that case, we have to go to the context clue to find out. Okay, Najib. So he said the minor planet, 1095, because they are giving to minor planets numbers. Tulipa was named after the plant genus that includes tulips. Okay. But given that the sheer number, this number of minor planets that have been discovered, more than 500,000 so far, most are given only an identification number, like this one. Because any name given to a minor planet needs to be unique to that body. Naming each would be so if you give only the minor planet a name without identification number, so it's gonna be something impractical. We can't say that it's something arrogant or uncertain or popular. It's something impractical. So, because they are more than 500,000, the words after, again, another question for words. We have cited in, neutral, apprised of, to tell, also neutral, unsympathetic to, negative, placated, means mollify, it's positive. Wait. We have two neutral, one negative, one positive. Can now we make elimination? No, we can't. So we have to go to the context clue. Driver who strongly believe that the toll, the taxes, they must pay to use the San Luis Pass, Viking Toll Bridge, which span the San Luis Pass in Texas, is currently too high. Those taxes are too high. Are likely to be what? Arguments. Are likely to be what? Arguments for increasing the toll. Till now, I don't know, or I don't understand what kind of words that we need. Let's find. Advocates for a higher toll. Take care. So he talk about these people that they want to increase the toll. They want to increase the taxes. So advocates for a higher toll are likely to have more success if they instead direct their arguments toward a more persuadable segment of the population. So now the last sentence tell us like what? يا عم انت اللي عاوز ترفع في التاكسز روح لناس تانية تكون تقدر ترفع لان انتوا كلامكم غير منطقي. Unsympathetic to. Unsympathetic to. Okay, the question after. Bestowed on, apply, it's also neutral. Wrote by means work, neutral. Allocated to, neutral. Concealed from means hide, neutral. Again, all of them neutral. I'm going to go to the context clue. Though few critics consider Vasily Grossman's novel, Stalingrad, which focuses on the experience of the Soviet Union in the early years of World War II, to be as were written. He talked about a word. As his later book, Everything Flows. Some compliment it. Despite the damage, Soviet censors, official. Gary, and this explanation because we have the colon. Gary Sol Martin in the New York Review of Books called the novel remarkably bold. So it's a kind of work, the work of the censors. So the answer is going to be B. Number five. This again, domain 2. He talk about the main purpose. How we can answer the main purpose? I'm not going to say, but you know. Why you're not going to say? Because the people that they are stealing my work. And this is going to be published. But what about if it doesn't work? What about if it doesn't work? You have to read the whole text. So here he said, archaeologist studying the ancient city of Bombay in Italy recently discovered a well-preserved food shop known as Thermopolium. They discover a well-preserved food shop. They call it Thermopolium. Okay, for example, the archaeologist found a ceramic jar that they believe likely contained the meat and seafoods too. Okay, it talk about a discovery that happened in Bombay. I think this Bombay actually it was burned by a volcano. Let's find. To discuss the political system of Italy, wallah, he didn't talk about any political system. To present a recent archaeological discovery, yes, he talked about a discovery. To describe a region's climate, he never talked about the climate. To compare ancient artworks with modern ones, wallah, he never talked about moderns or comparison. It's easy, level 1. The question after, again, main purpose. First said, okay. Carl Boulaney and other historian of capitalism، الناس بقى الرأسمالية اللي معاهم فلوس، يا رب وعدنا. Rarely يعني they never discuss domestic capitalism in Africa before the period of European colonization. They never, before the colonization, implicitly presenting capitalism as external to and imposed on Africa. So they never talk about capitalism before Europe invade Africa. Okay, but how are we going to compare? How are we going to know now that European are the people that they have money? Maybe African have money and those people stole from them. Let's find the last sentence. One reason for this discrepancy means disagreement. So there's a kind of disagreement. Is that historian of capitalism tend to focus on longitudinal economic data drawn from archival records, which don't exist for much of pre-colonial Africa. So they didn't intend that. He gave us the reason. Why didn't talk about capitalism before European colonization? Because they don't have any paper that show that. Okay. To explain why historian of capitalism and Africanist scholars disagree about which activities are features of capitalism. No, we're not talking about the activities. We're talking about that why they don't talk about capitalism before European colonization. To present an account for a potentially misleading characteristic of the work of history of capitalism, yes, it's misleading. Because they start talking about after European colonization, no before. To describe and evaluate a method used by African scholars that distinguishes their work from that of historic of capitalism. We never talk about Africanist work. We're talking about capitalism regarding the historian and what called that. To summarize a debate between historians of capitalism and Africanist scholars about how to interpret longitudinal economic data from archival records. No, he never said that. He said that the people of historian or the historian, they depend on longitudinal economic data. Number 7, we still in domain 2. He said here, again, the main purpose, and we know what we're going to do. I am. What about this? Forget about the introduction. The main thing is the real context. The real context or the real text. He said here, I am by no means sure that if the good people of Melby had known the truth about the Countess Zerleski, they would not have been considerably disappointed to find that it was very far from being as bad as they imagined. So I think now those people, they think something, but if they know the truth, they're going to change their mind. Let's look at the last sentence. It's so much easier to make up your mind that your neighbor is good for nothing than to enter into all the circumstances that would oblige you to modify the opinion. So, first impression ever lasts, you know that. So he just gave us an advice. At the end, he said that it's better if you find a roommate, a classmate, a workmate, a neighbor. It's better to think positively about him instead of negatively. Because if you think negatively, you're going to have time to change your mind. It's going to be hard. But if you change positively and you find that he is not equal to that positive, you can change your mind easily. Okay. To offer commentary. Yes, commentary means an advice. On human fold that may account for why the people of Melby view the Countess Dereliski as they do. Yes, maybe. Yes, he gave us an advice that it's better to look positively, not negatively. to speculate on the circumstances under which the unfavorable opinion on the Countess Zerlisky that is held by the people of Melby could be improved. He didn't talk about how it could be improved, and he didn't talk about the circumstances. He just tell us that if they know the truth, they're gonna be sad actually that they make that kind of opinion about her. And then he give us an advice to explain why the people of Melby are somewhat correct to reproach the Countess Zerlisky for her misdeeds. He didn't talk about that they are actually correct. He said that if they know the truth, mean that they are not correct. To engage the reader's compassion for both the Countess Zerlisky and the people of Melby by detailing their different viewpoints. He didn't talk about different viewpoints. And if you are not sure about your answer, it's better to read the whole thing, and you're going to find what I told you. Now we finish domain 2. What we're going to do right now, we go to domain 1. Domain 1, this is the style of the test. But domain 2 doesn't cover all the skills, Dr. Tamer. Where is the cross-text connection? As I told you, you're going to find it in domain 2. You're going to find, I'm sorry, in the module 2. In module 2. Okay, now we go to domain 1. And they start with skill number 2. What this? The main idea and details. And then the sub-skill details. He said what? Based on the text. What most likely motivates Taya Anna's behavior during Salon? I need what motivates her. This is a detailed question, and you know that you have to read the whole text. The following text is from Julia Alfrey's 2000 novel In the Name of Salem. Salem, a poet, is hosting guests in the front parlor of the family home, and Ramona is her sister. A salon is a social gathering for the exploration of intellectual ideas. It was evening when the two men got up to leave. Taya Anna had already come into the room several times to see if these guests had departed, had left or not. Yet, the front parlor had always been her special province, as she used it for her little school. So those people that they are guests are sitting in her place, that she is doing it as a little school. Now every evening it turned into Salem Salon. So in the morning school, in the afternoon, in the evenings, it's a kind of salon, as Ramona called it. And it was never in order for its transformation back to the classroom the following morning. So she is frustrated because she needs assistance elsewhere in the house. But Salem is unavailable while entertaining the guests. We didn't talk about that. She entered actually just to be sure about the place, to be ready for school the next morning. She is anxious for the gathering to disperse so that she can ready the space for her own needs. Yes, she wants them to leave to be ready for the school, to arrange them for the school. She is impatient to share her plans to start a new school with the guest and hope they will support her. We're not talking about the school with the guest, because those people actually are old and they're coming as he mentioned up, that they're coming for social gathering, but the school for other. She finds the guest to be dull and is eager to find a way to leave the salon. We'll not talk about that, so the answer is B. Number 9. Again, detailed question. Which claim does the text make about the demand for petroleum? I need why they are asking for petroleum. Why the demand? Why it's a need? Read the whole text. Companies involved in petroleum extraction include drilling equipment among their assets. But petroleum extraction is a very carbon-intensive industry. So, as social attitudes increasingly favor using less carbon-intensive sources of energy, demand for petroleum falls and the drilling equipment will eventually or even suddenly become a liability, as reduced petroleum prices make it more difficult to recover the expense of maintaining such equipment. Why? Because the people know that this kind of activity will release carbon that will destroy our life more than that. زي ما انتم شايفين النهارده في مصر الدنيا عامله ازاي. الواحد مش طايق يقعد في التكييف، حتى التكييف مش عامل شغل. Companies involved in petroleum extraction are not affected by the demand for petroleum. How is not affected? It will be affected. He said that it will not recover the expense of maintaining such equipment. The societal preference, we're talking about social attitudes for low carbon energy, and the people need low carbon energy sources, is a factor in the demand for petroleum. Yes, it's a factor that will affect the demand for petroleum because the people will stop asking for petroleum. You're going to find now cars start to be a lot. The demand for petroleum follows a predictable annual cycle. No, it's not predictable. Companies involved in petroleum extraction can benefit from a decline in the demand for petroleum. How will benefit? They're not going to have money just to recover their expenses. Again, a detailed question. ايه يا عم المديول اللي كله detailed question دوت من domain 1. According to the text, which trade do researchers think may contribute to a flat-headed cat's ability to purr? عارفين الأغنية الجديدة بتاعت انغخ دي؟ حاجة عارفينها؟ الترند الجديد ده اللي كل ما الواحد يفتحه يلاقي انغخ والناس كلها عاملينه. Okay. So now we need to know what is the trait that will contribute to a flat-headed cat's ability to purr. It's fine. Why do flat-headed cats purr but jaguars roar? ما الاتنين cats. الاتنين نوعية cats. Researchers hypothesize that this difference between the two feline species may partially due to a U-shaped bone in their throats. يعني في حنجرتهم كده في U-shaped bone called the hyoid. Flat-headed cats, which are much smaller than jaguars, have a rigid hyoid that rumbles, تتحرك, when the cat's larynx vibrates, resulting in a purr. By contrast, jaguars have a somewhat flexible hyoid, and the bone is attached to the skull with a stretchy ligament that flat cats lack. These traits allow jaguars and most other species of big cats to produce powerful roars. The same traits may also prevent most big cats from purring. So now we know why the cats purr, because of the U shape. The shape of the flat-headed cat's larynx? No, the U shape. That we call it hyoid. The ligament attaching the hyoid bone to the flat-headed cat's skull? No. The flat-headed cat's rigid hyoid bone? Yes, it's the hyoid bone. It's the hyoid bone, not the ligament. The hyoid bone. That we call it U-shape bone. The relative size of the flat-headed cat's body and throat? No. Number 11. Now it's evidence, and he brought for us the quantitative. The quantitative. Okay. What you want here to complete? We said that complete is the easiest part. The complete is the easiest part. For example, the total area of Camuco, Capulina, this one, is 7.47 square miles, and the total area of Nano Cooley. مين بقى اللي غلط فيها؟ اموت واعرف مين اللي غلط فيها عشان اخنقه. مين اللي غلط فيها عشان اخنقه؟ 3.61. ايه الهيافه دي؟ ايه الهيافه دي؟ ده ليفل 1. Okay. Again, domain 1, the evidence, the literary. Which quotation from the Age of Innocence best illustrate the claim? Okay. Do we have the word claim? No. So forget about the introduction and start from here. In the novel, New Land Archer attends an opera. In the audience is May Willand, with whom he is romantically involved. يعني there is a love story between them. Newland visualizes the details of the future with May. I need now Newland visualize what will happen in the future with May. That he is in a kind of love affair with her. He said May dropped her eyes to the immense bouquet of lilies of the valley on her knee. And Newland Archer saw her white gloved fingertips touch the flowers softly. No, he talk about visualize what will happen in the future. This is talk about something that happened between them right now. Newland Archer leaning against the wall at the back of the club box, where his seat was, turned his eyes from the stage and scanned the opposite side of the house. But again, he doesn't talk about what happened with May in the future. Though there was already talk of a new opera house which should compete in coastline and splendor with those of the great European capitals, the world of fashion was still content to resemble every winter in the shabby red and coal boxes of the sociable old Academy of Music. He didn't talk about the relationship between both of them. Already Newland's imagination, visualization, leaping ahead of the engagement ring. Allah, khatam al-khutuba. The betrothal kiss and the wedding march from longing picture May at her side. ايوه طبعا. خلاص اهو ده visualizing what will happen in the future. هو بيتجوزوا بعض بقى. 13. Scientific. Still in domain 1. Skill 1. I want to support the second research team hypothesis. We find the word hypothesis or hypothesize, I'm sorry. The verb hypothesize, it's here. So let's support this part. He said a second research team had therefore hypothesized that a low visibility condition, intermediate headed fish, take care, will be more likely than wide headed fish. So now, according to the hypothesis, the intermediate headed fish will be more likely than the wide headed fish to detect obstruction that create large vortices. Okay, the problem that I don't know what the meaning of vortex or vortexes. I don't know what does it mean. So I have to read up, but I want to support that the intermediate headed is better than wide headed in the low visibility condition. Water flowing around an obstruction creates vortex patterns of swirls, whirlpool, of varying size. By detecting the vortex, fish can determine the size and position of the obstruction. Testing by Yuzo R. Yangusuru, Otar Akiniti, and James C. Liu using models of three head shapes: narrow, low ratio of width to length, intermediate, and wide. And we said that the intermediate is better than the wide. And wide, high ratio of width to length. Showed that for large vortex, fish with intermediate heads would be better able than wide-headed fish to distinguish between vortex and general turbulence in the water. Okay. A study using obstruction that created large vortex and low visibility condition, okay, found that the devil catfish, is devil catfish intermediate? That this is a scientific name, which has a relatively wide head, bumped into more than half of the obstruction. Yeah, more than half, but I don't know about the intermediate headed. Yeah, this right. This can be right because he said wide head is not good. He said more than half. But again, what about the other? But he didn't talk about the other, just to compare between them. No. A study using obstruction that created large vortex and low visibility condition found that the wide-headed devil catfish bumped into obstruction more often than the intermediate-headed rainbow trout. Yes, here the wide-headed bumped more than the intermediate. So that showed that the intermediate is better. Okay, this can be the answer. A study using obstruction that created large vortex and low visibility condition found that the intermediate-headed rainbow trout bumped into the obstruction just as often as the wide-headed. He said that both of them are the same. So here it doesn't show that the intermediate-headed is better. A study using obstruction that created large vortex in low visibility condition found that some specimen of intermediate-headed, okay, rainbow trout, bumped into the obstruction more often than the specimen of the same fish did. I'm sorry, compare the fish to each other or to itself. No, I need to compare it to the y. So then the right answer is B. Again, we're still in domain 1 and it's still in evidence and quantitative. What you want to complete the example. Complete the example, okay? Here. In a paper for a social studies class, a student. Nonetheless, note that countries with very large population, countries with very large population may be less densely populated. Okay, so countries with very large population may be less densely populated than are countries with much smaller population, as can be seen by comparing. So how can you find that? Yeah, to compare two countries that one of them has large area and has many population, so like that it's less densely because it has large area, to another country that has less area but also a less dense, but you're gonna find that the mirror has more people. Let's find Zambia here, which has a low density. He said 21.5. With benign. Okay, yes. Which has a similar density. No. How similar? It's 96.6. How similar? Thank you. It's different. The geographic size of Mali. Okay, geographic size. Where geographic size? This one, 1,240,000 square kilometer with its relatively high population of 17. I'm sorry. I'm not talking about Mali to itself. I'm talking about Mali to another. A Mali to another. So, Mali, which has a high population of 17,600,000 inhabitants and a relatively low density, yes, 14.2 inhabitants per square kilometer, with Lesotho, this one, which has a much lower population, yes, lower, and a higher density, yes, because less area, yes, these two. It has more population, but less dense than the one that has less population, but high dense. The last one, the population of both Lesotho and Benin in 2015, with their population, I'm not talking about, and I'm talking about 2015 and here, I'm not talking about 2010. We're still in domain one. We're still in domain one. Inference. Inference. It said here, which choice most logically complete the text? Look at the last sentence. Okay, he said it's, and however, take a sentence before. He said, among studies of non-human primates. Which studies? We have to take a sentence before, so from here. Humans have a very strong bias toward right-handedness. So they have a problem. They have a fallacy. With approximately 85 to 90% having right at their dominant hand. Among studies of non-human primates, you know, like the monkeys, James Willis' 1976 study of captive chimpanzees and catarrhine monkeys reported more right-handed individuals than left-handed ones. But William C. McGrew and colleagues' 1999 study of wild chimpanzees didn't find a tendency toward right-handedness. It's important to note, however, that captive animals spend significantly more time with human than wild animal do, and therefore, captive means captured, that they put it in a jail, and not in a jail, like they start to be in a kind of a zoo. Okay, let's find. Depend on this information. The apparent difference between the two studies result may be partially attributable to the 1976 study, using a different standard to determine handedness than the 1999. No, they never do that. No. The right-handedness exhibited by the captive chimpanzees and carrion monkeys might be in part an effect of extended contact with humans. Yes, he said, because both of them are being captive. So both of them start being affected by humans. So all of them start using right hand. The number of individuals in the study of captive chimpanzees, and we didn't talk about any number, and catarrhine monkeys is likely too small to support the claim that the species tend toward right hand. We didn't talk about any numbers. So no, thank you. The number of individuals in the study of wild chimpanzees, again, we didn't talk about in number, it's probably too small to support the claim that no tendency toward right-handedness was found in that population. So again, is not. Now we go to domain 4, and we start with boundaries. It's boundaries and also form, structure, and sense, because they talk about apostrophe. So number 1, because it's easy, I'm going to find apostrophe. Do we need apostrophe or not? Here, the chemists. Do we need apostrophe? No, because after it a preposition, so we don't need. So cancel C and cancel D. Now, here, we have cosmetic chemists, and we have cosmetic, actually all of them talk about domain 4, skill 1. Form, sense, and structure. Cosmetic chemist. Do we need apostrophe or not? Teacher, you know that cosmetic here, it's an adjective, not a noun. It's an adjective, not a noun. So it's better to be without apostrophe. Now, this domain 4, skill 2, boundaries. So what we're going to do, take the sentence from here. He said Leibniz wheel calculators were popular in the first half of the 20th century. This independent. Okay. These ingenious devices were another independent. So now it's easy. If we have two independent that follow each other, what we're gonna do? We put comma, fanboys. Or semicolon, or full stop. So here, comma, fanboys.
مستر
Yes, Hamza.
لو كانت independent dependent أو dependent independent.
Okay, dependent. Independent. We put comma between them. Independent. Dependent. Depend on. What is the dependent is? If it's a relative clause, you can put a comma before it. So we can put a comma. That is not essential. If it's not, so it can be like that without any punctuation. Okay, Hamza?
Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay, Mr.
Okay, the question after again, it's boundaries. Domain 4. We're still in domain 4. Second skill. He said her portrait. Okay, the subject of novelist Zaddy is displayed. The verb. Okay, do you remember when I told you after the subject nothing, before the verb nothing? I'm gonna write it here again. After the subject comma, before the verb comma. But we have to be between them something. After the subject dash, before the verb dash. And between them something. After the subject nothing, before the verb nothing. And before them something. Between them something. So here is going to be the answer. Okay. Domain 4, skill number 1, form, sense, and structure. And here we talk about pronoun antecedent agreement. Let's find. Because they are subject verb, plural. They're plural, but possessive pronoun. It is subject verb and singular. It's possessive pronoun and singular. Let's find. Do we need subject verb or not? So here it said, according to constitutional scholar George Tespel, who examined the implication of constitutional length of civil rights. Till that one, it's a phrase. We need now subject verb. Yes, so I'm going to delete C, B, and D. We need subject verb. So they are or it is. He said 102nd in a global ranking of the shortcast constitution. But I don't know he talk about what. He talk about, look at the sentence before to know. He talk about the constitution, so it's singular. It is. The question after, it's boundaries, domain 4. We're still in domain 4. Okay, you look, however, here. Relatively few of these particles are likely to reach Earth surface. This independent. Since the meteoroids, this dependent يا حمزة, dependent. Since the meteoroid compression of the earth around them causes the vast majority to burn up in the mesosphere, producing this a modifier, producing the June-putted meteor shower. Okay. Now we have two independent, and we know that we can't put anything between them. But here we have, however, with semicolon, wrong, because we can't put semicolon. So cancel A, cancel D even, and cancel C. So the answer is going to be B. Now transition, domain 3. Now domain 3 is going to be the last of the test. Domain 3 is going to be the last of the test. You know, in transition, we have to find the function of each word at that time, sequence. For example, exemplification. In other words, rephrase. However, contradiction. Look at sentence before, sentence after to find the relation. He said, while most animals prefer the safety of nighttime migration, many poisonous amphibians, a category that include the red-billed newt and the fire salamander, safely engage in migratory behavior during the day. Then after that he said, with the sun in the sky, the amphibian striking color pattern deter visually oriented daytime predator by serving as a warning of toxicity. Okay? So here is just to rephrase the other words that most of the amphibians like to migrate at night, except those that they are poisonous. They like the day. Why in the gift? So in other words, here, for this reason, you know, it's cause and effect. However, contradiction. For example, exemplification. Alternatively, again, contradiction. So now we have two words that they are contradiction. What we're gonna do? Put them aside. Don't cancel them. Put them aside. If you can't find A or C, so it's gonna be one of them. Look at sentence before and sentence after. He said the residents of Cairo, Egypt, rely on its rapid transit system, the Cairo Metro, for millions of trips each year. Then after that he said, city officials strive to maintain the system's 71 stations to ensure each of these journeys is as smooth as possible. Yes, because of that. Because the people of Cairo depend completely on it. So for this reason, after that, consequently, cause and effect, similarly, agreement, and some, summary, summarize. However, contradiction, look at sentence before and sentence after. We're going to take this sentence with some from here. Box modeling, used by digital artists to develop 3D assets for video games, yields objects with precise mathematical proportions. Granted, ده كده rephrase أو بيأكد, emphasize. Granted, as they are formed from perfect geometric shapes, such 3D elements lack organic realism. After that, both modeling processes, such as UV surface mapping, are needed to achieve the level of versatility gamers expect. So because of that, because it lacks organic realism, so they have to revise it. Domain 4, rhetorical synthesis. What he want here? He want the difference between the two lighthouse keepers. The difference between the two lighthouse keepers. At the lighthouse keeper at Point Firmlight, Thelema Austin helped watercraft navigate at night. Where is the difference between two? Nothing. From 1862 to 1880, the nighttime waters of Maine were made more navigable thanks to Pistimoro Humphrey. Again, it doesn't show the difference between two lighthouse keepers. Pistimoro Humphrey worked as a lighthouse keeper in an earlier century than did Thelma Austin. Yes, here shows the difference between the two keepers. Pistimoro Humphrey and Thelma Austin played crucial roles in ensuring safe navigation for watercraft in past centuries. Here it shows the similarity, not the difference. So the answer is C. Just wait, guys, please. $25. What he want? He wants to recount the sequence of events proposed by the researchers. Recount the sequence of events proposed by the researchers. Okay. According to researchers' simulations, debris from Saturn's rings would likely have caused Chrysalis, a large moon orbiting Saturn, to break apart around 160 million years ago. He said the sequence of events. Do we have a sequence here, an order? According, no, there is no order. In a 2022 study, researchers proposed that Saturn was once orbited by a large moon that broke apart. Again, where is the sequence? Nothing. Around 160 million years ago. The sequence now. Look, a large moon Chrysalis may have come close enough to Saturn that tidal forces broke the moon apart. Its debris then formed the planet's rings. Yes, there is a sequence. There is time order. D. If a moon orbiting a planet like Saturn's comes close enough to the planet, tidal forces can cause the moon to break apart. No, this cause and effect relationship. It doesn't show the sequence. Question 26. What he want? He want effectively uses information from the given sentences to emphasize the similarity between the two birds. Dr. Tamer, is this a kind of question is completely different from this one? He didn't say the student wants. Yes, the question can be on that shape. No problem. I want the similarity between the two birds. Easy. Just read it. I want the similarity between two birds. I don't care if it told us a student or not. It's a rhetorical synthesis with its context. Birds of Northern South America is an expertly compiled guidebook by ornithologist Robin Redstone, Clemcia Ronder, and Magwell Lentino. I'm sorry? You told me the similarity between two birds, and here you mentioned only one kind of birds. No. Though contradiction, differences, they share similar traits in common. The green-throated mango is larger than the horned. Okay, he doesn't show the similarity. He showed the differences. While each exhibits unique traits of its own, the green-throated mango and the horned sunbeam both have black bells. Yes, here it shows similarity. The horned sunbeam is a medium-sized hummingbird, identifiable by its distinct multicolored tufted crown and its short black straight bill. I'm sorry, you talk about one kind. I need the similarity between both. The last one, what he wants to emphasize the effect of media had on building Wang Fi Hung legacy. I need the effect media had on building Wang Fi Hung legacy. Thanks to his depiction over 100 pieces of media, okay, Wang Fei Hong was locally known as a successful physician and Hung Ga Kung Fu master. He mentioned media and he mentioned the legacy, so maybe. Wang Fei Hong's ability as a Kung Fu master are depicted in many media, including the 1991 film Once Upon a Time in China. Again, it can be. Various media have depicted Wang Fei Hong, the successful physician and Kung Fu master who became an internationally known folk hero. Again, it can be. Though he was known locally during his lifetime, Wang Fei Hong's later depiction in television, film, and other media has turned him into an internationally known folk hero. No, in that case, I have to read the whole thing to find that which one actually emphasized the effect of media. I know that it's a D and it's better. All of them show the media, but here he show and he talk about television, film, and other media because before he was locally, after it was international. Let's find here. Little is known about the life of Wang Fei Hong, 1847-1925, as mentioned up, because he was locally, who was born near Foshan, China, and gained local recognition as a physician and Hong Ka, also known as Hong Gar, Kung Fu master. He has become an internationally known folk hero thanks to his depiction in over 100 films, television shows, and other media. Yes, this one is better. In the 1991 film Once Upon a Time in China, actor Jet Li portrays Wang Fei Hong using superhuman kung fu ability to save his community. Yes, so the answer is better D. Any question, guys? افتحوا المايك يا شباب. في حد عنده أي question?
No, thank you,
No,
Mr.
no, Mr. Thank you.
Mr.
Okay. This a kind of real test. This was the real test. Let me tell you what kind of test is this one. Or which year?
Mister,
Yes.
when the homework will
I'm gonna write it. I'm gonna
homework
write it
will-
on the group. I'm gonna write the deadline. And I'm gonna open for you. Okay. This test is the
Stop.
yes.
You are going to send this session in the group, right?
Yes, yes. Okay. This test was December 2024 International. December 2024 International. Just to know about that. December 2024 International. That was the test for. Let me send for you the answer key first. Then I'm gonna send. Just wait, please. Okay, I'm gonna repeat again. That was a test of December 2024 international, because you know we have national that they go to America and Canada, and the international that come to us. So that was that test. I'm gonna send for you now on the group, just to revise again. And look at it again while you are listening to the recording. I'm gonna send the recording again to the group. You have an online test. Yusuf Magdi.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm gonna send for you the link of my website. You have to do an account in, and you have to test yourself. Then I'm gonna approve you to find what homework do you have. And please, Yusuf, stick to the deadline. Clear, Yusuf?
Clear.
Okay. You can leave, guys. Thank you. Except Yusuf Asek.
Thank you, Mr.
Welcome.
I do have a question. How do I log into it?
I'm gonna send for you the link. You have to make a kind of